So IRB was a nightmare. It took nearly a year to get IRB approval. And their comment was like, the iPhone emits radio frequency energy. Although this level of energy has been found safe in studies, but that's a different question. So as you see from Mike Todd's response, he said, I'm not quite sure how to respond. Of course, iPhone and any electronic device emits some radio frequency energy, but that's so minor. How long we keep the iPhone in our hand? Maybe hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. My son, his screen time is 16 hours. So anyway, after several back and forth conversation, IRB approved the protocol. So first problem we encountered is how to mount the iPhone to the patient's hand. So at first I did, after a couple of patients, I got so frustrated, and because each patient we get a different result, because iPhone doesn't stick in the patient's hand, it fall. We are not getting consistent measurement. So I told Mike, I'm done with it. This damn thing doesn't stick with the patient's hand. I'm not going to do this project anymore. So Mike said to use a Velcro, find a Velcro strap, either Walmart or Home Depot somewhere, and see if you can stick the iPhone better. And that was a paradigm shift for this study. After that, we never had any problem. iPhone it was very easy to secure with this Velcro. And Alicia will tell you how you can secure the iPhone to the patient's hand.
To use an iPhone for monitoring train of 4, you need to secure the iPhone to the patient's hand. I will show you how to use this Velcro that you can get at Walmart, Home Depot to secure the iPhone to the patient's hand. I need a hand.
See?
So you want to make sure that the soft part is out. You want to hold it so that it can tighten. And then you have to twist the end to secure it. Now the iPhone has a sticky side to it, or a scratchy side. Stick it on, and now it's secure.
So the next video, our senior research assistant, Catherine, will show you how you perform train of 4 stimulation and measure this ratio with the iPhone app.
This is how the train of 4 iPhone app works. With neuromuscular stimulation, muscle contractions are detected by the accelerometer chip of the iPhone and displayed on the screen.
All right, so we recruited 28 patients, and here you see the average age of these patients, and 50-50 male, female, and most of them ASA 3, almost 67%, which is typical for our East Bank hospital. And here is a sample trace. As you see that before administration of the rocuronium, you see the train of 4 ratio is 0.9, and after rocuronium is gradually went down to 0.7 and then 0.4. And here is a sample trace on reversal. And on the reversal, it's a different story because each patient has a different state of neuromuscular blockade. So I was not able to give a cumulative data. This is a sample from one patient. As you see that although in the beginning there is some difference between the train of 4 output and stim pod output, but in the later it is very similar. And here's a correlation study of all the data points we got from 28 patients. And you see this strongly correlated. R2 is 0.68 and p-value is less than 0.001. But remember that correlation can be misleading because output of the two devices can be different, but they still can be strongly correlated. So here is where the money is. If you want to compare two devices, you need a blend Altman plot. And here is the difference between stim pod and iPhone. As you see that it's only 0.2 with standard deviation of 0.19, which is comparable with other comparison between the two quantitative neuromuscular monitoring devices available in the literature. So in conclusion, we see that train of 4 ratio values produced by the iPhone train of 4 app are statistically almost indistinguishable from those produced by a commercial accelerometer. While the iPhone app does not lend itself to continuous intraoperative monitoring, but it is a suitable device for assessment of block onset and reversal. Importance of this study is that there are estimated 1 billion active iPhone users worldwide, and our results may have significant implications in clinical anesthesia practice because you can basically do quantitative monitoring anywhere in the world without any expensive device. At this point, we might get a clapping. Dr. Todd, Dr. Barry, good job. You made an iPhone app. But question is, are you going to use it? Let me do another survey. And I'll ask this question differently because here our residents or some of the attending have exposure of using quantitative devices, train of 4 monitoring devices. So I'm asking that have you ever, but some of our attending came from other institution after 5 to 10 years of practice. So I will ask them, have you ever performed quantitative train of 4 monitoring before coming to the University of Minnesota? Again, same thing, you text RATANB387 to phone number 22333. And the results is not surprising. I'll tell you a story. During pandemic, it was the dark age of our life, dark time of our life, and I was really bored. My clinic was in a very limited capacity. I only see a few patients over virtually with my shorts or pajamas and tie because no one can see my bottom. And my lab was closed. So I really don't have a lot of things to do. So what I did at the time, I signed up in Twitter and was reading other people post. So here's one post that caught my eyes. So he said, new attending, first day in the OR as an attending, doing my own cases. Everything went fine, except that I did not bring nerve stimulator in the OR, but I don't think I will need one. That's a very strong statement. The question is, why is this cavalier attitude toward neuromuscular monitoring when we see that clinical assessment is not adequate to determine the reversal from the neuromuscular blockade? And I do not have good answer for this. I'll leave it to Mike Todd's discussion in the new MSA meeting. And only thing I will tell you that there is a letter to the editor published in British Journal of Anesthesia, and there are multiple papers in this um, our, our cavalier attitude toward neuromuscular monitoring. And this letter to the editor says there's a hidden universality of infection is correspond to the hidden universality of neuromuscular blockade. And they cited Dr. Todd, but they did some mistake. They said he's American anesthetist. He's not an American anesthetist. He's an anesthesiologist. And they said he of Iowa University. He's not from Iowa. In Iowa, you have two universities, Iowa University and University of Iowa. Anyway, so they said they compared this residual neuromuscular blockade to hidden universality of infection. There's a lot of time patient does not show meaningful clinical signs symptoms, but they are heavy infection. Similarly, there are a lot of, they showed that 42% patient come to the PACU with residual neuromuscular blockade. But the study is a bit old, decided 1979, but they clarified it that after 35 years later, study published in the reputable journals, multiple studies, including a couple of them from Mike Todd, that shows the incidence of residual neuromuscular blockade even after use of the widespread use of Sugammadex is still almost similar. So they consider it as an epidemic disease. And I don't know, I will not go into debate whether it is epidemic disease, whether it's a big issue or not. And I will just point your attention to one important aspect of the um, residual neuromuscular blockade. Although it doesn't happen very commonly, sometimes we see that patient after extubation, we need to intubate the patient immediately within a few hours. So this is another survey. Have you ever needed to reintubate a patient within a few hours of extubation? Again, text RATANB 387 to number 22333. So I believe most of the most of the audience have experienced at least one or two in their lifetime. So me and my colleague reviewed characteristics of 196 reintubated patients and to identify what are the factors that contribute to their reintubation. Is there anything special in these patients? So these 196 patients out of 200,000 in general anesthesia. But the number is a little underinflated because this data came from QA committee. So a lot of times patient attending or residents don't report that their reintubation cases. So, actual number may be higher. But incidence around 0.09%, which is similar to the other published study. And these patients are more than 65 years old. Almost 50% patient are more than 65 years old. And their ASA physical status 3 or 4, which means they have multiple comorbidities. And almost all of the cases, surgery lasted more than 3 hours. And mortality rate was higher in the reintubated patients. So in summary, we see residual neuromuscular blockade is a problem. Problem is big or small, it's debatable. It is depend on also who you ask. If you ask this Twitter guy, he will laugh at you. But if you ask Mike Todd, he will hear a different answer. And you see there is a role of quantitative neuromuscular monitoring in a subset of patients. In my case series study, it shows that a patient more than 65 have multiple comorbidities, ASA 3 or 4, and the case lasts more than 3 hours. That patient may be ideal for quantitative neuromuscular monitoring. And when expensive